Just quickly, I told you to be watching the 4-hour chart for another reference point of a divergence. I told you we could get a pullback and then go higher, or form a 3 drives to a high type of a pattern with 1, 2, 3 peaks. We had this divergence, prices corrected sideways. That circle showed up because it was showing correction, but then it ended. We saw the breakout of the triangle and we saw the surge. So again, do we get a brand new divergence right here, or do we build upon this one? That's what I'm watching here in the 4-hour time frame. And then also on the MACD, the same thing. You got this divergence, which gave us this sideways triangle correction, and now we have this lower high. So we'll be watching. If we push on higher above 100,000, you could see the histogram turn up. You could see the stochastic turn back up on these 4-hour charts and form a brand new divergence right there. And again, before we see the rollover, that's certainly possible that we overthrow that 100,000 area, go to 102, 102 up to 105,000, somewhere in the low there, 100,000 area, and then turn. We do what Microstrategy has done. It looks to be a final climax high move, rising 15%. You can go up to the 10, 15,000 area, the next level of resistance, and then turn. I've talked about this 90,000 to the 110, 115,000 area. Next levels of resistance, the weekly time frame, again, it's in that high 90,000 area. It right now and just slightly overthrowing it. The next levels 110 to 115,000. These levels, you'll see them all in this video. And currently we're up about 0.5% or so, just under 0.5%. Again, I'll be watching these 4-hour charts closely, because we have not only divergences in the daily time frame with the RSI, but you've got it here on the MACD and the RSI in the 4-hour time frame. They may not be done yet, but you do have them forming here, these larger divergences. The divergences gave us the triangle. We now have triple divergences that are setting up. You look at pring parameter, we're forming a major negative divergence here with this push higher. I talked about that possibility previously, and again, thinking about the possibility of a pullback and then going higher, corrected sideways triangle and then went higher, and again you've got potentially a rising wedge. So again, a lot of divergences. Pring parameter, the RSI, the MACD on the 4-hour chart, and then you got the RSI, MACD in the daily time frame, along with other indicators, momentum, all in this video. Just overthrow 100,000 and then start a pullback or start a reversal. We'll be watching. Or if we do what Microstrategy did, you can see a final climax high of this parabolic move here that we have, taking us to 110, 115,000 or so. Next level of resistance. Please support the channel with the link directly below. That allows me to be able to provide you this information. I don't have any sponsors. I turn all those offers down. I don't want to send you to an exchange that wants to get you all leveraged up to wipe you out. So I just ask that you partner with me and support the channel. The money made on channels are largely through sponsors, and I choose not to go that way. I'd rather just have a direct relationship with you. So again, please consider helping out, partnering with me. Follow the link below to take you to a secured site, and you can donate any amount you want or make it a recurring donation. If you do that, I thank you. Please consider helping out today. I thank you for that. Hey, watch the video all the way through. I'll be talking about the major reversal, this bearish engulfing candlestick with Microstrategy, and again, some other reversal signals with Microstrategy and with Bitcoin that could be huge warning signs. So again, this is a big red flag. I'll be talking more about that later in the video. Watch the video all the way through. So we'll be talking about the Bitcoin ETF. Now, again, I've been talking about the trend lines here in the weekly time frame. I want to point something out. I was using a different chart with an exchange here. I didn't quite have this correct. And again, all the different exchanges compile their own information here. I switched over to the Bitstamp here, and the chart the history of Bitcoin, because again, to be as accurate as possible, because the line was just a little bit different, the exchange that I was previously using the chart on. So here I've connected, to make you aware of that, here I've connected these two peaks in the Bitcoin stamp, and we're just overthrowing it. It is a little bit higher. And the other change I made was I talked about the low here connected to the high right here. We exceeded that level. And then I was playing around with this, just watching. And again, if we exclude the shadows right here, you connect this low and the low here, excluding the shadow, then you have this trend line, which we're coming up to right now. So those are the changes that I made. And this is the Bitcoin stamp data. Notice that with the different exchanges that you get their data, some of their data is different from data we have right here or historical price data. So again, just wanted to get it as accurate as possible. So again, this trend line right here, we're just overthrowing it right now. The chart I had, it was a little bit lower and we had already overthrown it. I've drawn a trend line here from these lows connected to this low and then a parallel boundary with this peak right here. And again, that is the next target level. Should we clear this area right here, looking at 110,000 up here, if we take a little while getting to it, 115, 120,000. Assuming that we can clear this area and that we either just do that immediately or pull back and do it. If we pull back over time, then that trend line continues to rise to the right of the chart, so that price target would go higher. Again, Bitcoin with that divergence, it could get rejection in this area, and we could see, before the weekends, we could see a topping tail. We could see a peak around these trend lines and then come back down and go back up and get something like this, or get something like this. We had a peak, and then we dropped, and then 3 weeks later, we were back at a new high, but then that was it. Could see something similar to that in the weekly time frame. The divergence just also mark a peak here. The divergence I'm referring to in the daily time frame, if we just start a reversal with that divergence. If that marks a peak with Bitcoin, it could be something like here where we had a peak, we sell off, and we come back and we get a lower high. Do something like that with Microstrategy if it stops making new highs, and that's why I'm watching it very closely. It often gives warning signs what's about to happen with Bitcoin. Just some things I wanted to review again. Again, I apologize, slightly changing my trend line right here, but again, want it to be extremely accurate. Change to the bit stamp to draw that trend line to make it as accurate as possible. So thank you for understanding about that. Again, with the prices with the data with the exchanges can change. They often vary, even with some of the bigger exchanges. So I just wanted to get that as accurate as possible. So just some trend lines I'm watching and in this area here. But like I said, if we blow through it, you've got 110, 115,000 or so if we continue. Again, good chance that divergence is going to give us some kind of pullback or reversal. We may hit 100,000. Just come shy of it here, but if we overthrow it, we may just go into that low 100,000 area, 102, 103, 105,000, something like that, and then turn back down. If it's just hitting the 100,000 area and then turning, we're close but no cigar. We're going to be watching to see if we turn off of these levels. Signals remain bullish in the weekly time frame. There's a possibility that a divergence develops here for either a pullback or reversal. The bulls are in control. My signals remain bullish. At the breakout here, and it was confirmed, flipping the weekly signals back to bullish. The next sell-off we get, can the bulls remain in control if we turn around this level or up here, potentially this upper channel line? And just quickly, here it is up close on the Bitcoin History Index. Again, trying to get as accurate as I can with the data, but the trend line, again, we're just overthrowing it. This trend line right here, excluding the shadows, we're just coming up to it. So again, going to be watching these resistance levels. This trend line right here, again, we may overthrow it, but not close above it by the end of the week. Or if we do, again, that could open the door to go to the 110,000 level or overthrow 100,000 and, go to 102, 103, 104, 105,000 or something like that, and then turn. So we'll be watching these trend lines. Do we turn off of them? Do we just overthrow them? Back when we got the top in 2021, I talked about over and over again the divergence that formed in the daily time frame with these two peaks. And I talked about these lows pointing to the next high. Could these lows, excluding the shadow, be pointing to the next high here, whether short-term peak for a pullback and to continue the advance with the bullish scenario, or a possible reversal if the bears end up regaining control, may get rejection at this level of resistance. So I'm watching this level of resistance and just above it, and again at the 110, 115,000 area, the next level of resistance. Get rejection here or blow past it, try to go to that next resistance level, do what Microstrategy did, and get a what looks to be a final climax rally of this parabolic move that Microstrategy is getting, which again, watch the video all the way through and you will see Microstrategy charts going on with that, and it could be giving us information about what's in store for Bitcoin. Show you this up close, and again, it's the most accurate data I can get. We are overthrowing this trend line. Do we close above it? And we are coming back to this trend line right here, the Bitcoin History Index. Now, again, no topping signals have shown up here except the red circle. The red circle had stopped over here. It was moving, warning, hey, we might get a top, but we kind of went sideways, and then it surged higher. Price surged higher with Bitcoin, and the circle started moving, and as of yesterday, and then again today. So again, it's just warning, hey, to be on the lookout for a top. That's all it is. A T show up here, that in my last video, and then it went away. So again, if we start seeing some selling, we could see another T show up, but it's got to close that way. And again, it could show up, but then not end up closing that way. I told you right here, again, we are likely still going to form this divergence with momentum, and again, that's now happening, and that's probably going to finish here very, very soon. And when this divergence completes and playing out, we'll be watching. Do we get a pullback? Do we get a reversal? My signals continue to be bullish. Again, on the pullback here with the back test of the breakout, I told you we were going to see them back to bullish, and we were going to rally to a new all-time high above the March high. We did. I told you to be watching that 77 to 78,000 area. Clearing that, successful back test here, the bulls back in control. So again, unless that changes, it can't go a whole lot higher. It could be in a topping process, again, surrounding the 100,000 area, above it or just under it, or again to the 110 to 115,000 if we continue to go higher. What Microstrategy did, which you're going to see in this video, it just surged 15% in one day, and then it collapsed back to 15% and then dropped another 18% beyond that. A big amount of volatility. And we could see something like that. Possible that Microstrategy, with the bearish engulfing, getting a final climax high. We could see something like that with Bitcoin. It would be already taking place with this divergence here. It's possible that, again, if we close above 100,000 area, that we could reach the 110, 115,000. But I do think, again, Bitcoin will see some kind of volatility with these divergences that are setting up, whether a pullback or reversal. That's going to be determined as the bulls and bears fight it out for control with the next sell-off that we get. But again, my signals remain bullish in the daily time frame. And again, I talked about back here at 52,000. Again, the bullish signals that showed up. How about these pullbacks? But told you again around the 100 period moving average, that pink line right there, that we are going to continue to move towards this trend line, 68, 69,000. I told you about the pullback, these warning signals, but then I told you again we are likely going to move to 70, 71,000. We overthrew it, hit 73,000, and because we overthrew it, I told you we are going to likely back test, which we ended up doing. Correct. I forecasted these pullbacks. Signals have been consistently bullish. I told you we are going to rise to, again, that 78, 77,000 area. We got the successful back test. We cleared 78, 77,000. So again, these are all signs of strength. Again, my signals, you can see, flip back to bullish right here. After the pullback, signals, which are correct, have been consistently bullish in the daily time frame. And I've even talked about these pullbacks. But this back test right here flipped the weekly signals back to bullish. My signals remain bullish in the weekly time frame, as I've talked about. Again, we'll probably see some volatility and then probably see some warning signs begin to show up. Again, that red circle, it can move. It's showing up when we make extremes. It started showing up over here and then it stopped, but then we didn't get a reversal. So now we corrected kind of sideways there a little bit, and now it's moving again. So again, it moved here and it moved to here. If we get a doji or a spinning top by the end of the session, you got a possible evening star. We're looking to see, do we sell off over the weekend on into next week, or do we just try to blow past the 100,000 area into the low 100,000 area or on into the 110, 115? If Bitcoin can make it up to the 110, 115 area, it very well could top there just above 100,000. We start to reverse sooner rather than later. Again, we're watching the weekly charts, but again, let me be clear. The signals remain bullish, looking at resistance levels. But again, like the RSI you'll see later in this video, we've got momentum here also forming a divergence. The last time we got it, we did get the pullback here to back test. Will this divergence give us a pullback, or will it give us a reversal surrounding the trend lines of resistance in the weekly time frame? Again, momentum signals in the weekly time frame turned bullish after we hit that 52,000 area. We began to rally. We saw them turn bullish shortly thereafter, and the momentum in the weekly time also turned back to positive. Okay, we got the bullish signal here, flipping the background back to green, and we broke the downtrend. As I've talked about, we broke that downtrend, and we had confirmed reversal after the momentum had flipped. You see the little arrow here, the little momentum line, all turning back to bullish shortly after our 52,000 bottom, and we rallied up off of those levels. Our daily signals turned bullish, and then we saw the momentum in the weekly time frame turn bullish. But with the breakout of the downward trend line, then we saw the trend signals turn back to bullish here. Need to remain that way for a bullish case going forward. The risk is that we form a top either around the 100,000 area or going higher to the next level of resistance around 110, 115,000. If we take our time reaching at 120,000, 110,000, 115,000 area, that's the next level of resistance. Should we clear the 100,000 area, again, our nice round number could area where sellers start coming in. It's either a pullback or a possible reversal. When I say a possible reversal, I'm talking about like what happened over here. We broke out to a new high, and it failed, was followed by a reversal, and we saw that happen. These divergences form on indicators. Price went higher, but indicators did not. That's what we have right now. So again, those divergences may take a while to develop. We may go a whole lot higher, just get a pullback, and then go a whole lot higher before those weekly divergences do anything, or something we should be watching. And my signals, momentum had already been bullish, and then now the trend signals are bullish. The bulls are in control. Weekly time frame, daily time frame, we're forming negative divergences. Watch the video all the way through, but divergence may just give us a pullback, and we may remain bullish. Risk is they start a bearish reversal, ends up flipping these signals back to bearish. We'll be watching to see how it unfolds. But again, things are bullish. The bulls remain in control. Now, Bitcoin is in the Friday session. We're about just over halfway through the Friday session, and Bitcoin is pretty much flat right now, down just over $50. Reached a peak. Obviously, in my last update 2 days ago, it had reached 95,000. I told you again, it could be on its way to the 100,000 area, overthrow that level, could turn down there with the divergence, rise as high as, again, my target level there at the 110 to 115,000. But we do have the divergence that's likely going to kick in soon. My signals remain bullish. The weekly signals remain bullish. Again, with this pullback right here, I told you, again, a rally above the peak over here, watching to see if we got a push above 78,000. If we did, that would be extremely bullish. Rejection at the 78,000, just the 78,000 area, that would be bearish. We pushed on through that level. My signals continue to remain bullish. They have continued to remain bullish, consistently bullish through this rise, with pullbacks to the 100 period and the 50 period here, which I correctly predicted would happen. The breakout up to this level, the pullback, and predicting we would go above the trend line, at least 70 or 71,000. We overthrew it, went to the 73,000 level here, just under it. And because we went above 71,000, I told you we're going to get above this area. I predicted a pullback, then an election rally. So did we watching that 77, 78,000 area. Again, you clear that, you get a push above this 73,000 area, goes above that for the week. These are all bullish things. My signals remain bullish from flipping back to bullish right here. We predicted would happen before it happened. Consistently bullish since Bitcoin bounced off of Bitcoin's average price here at 52,000. The bulls are in control. In the daily time frame, momentum and trend signals are bullish. In the weekly time frame, momentum and trend signals are bullish. As we've come up here, we're getting something that looks like over here with the divergence on the RSI. So again, that could give us a pullback. It could give us a reversal. May overthrow the 100,000 area. We're just below it. The intraday high today, 99,500, right on the nose. We continue to be above the 10 period. The 10 is above the 20, the blue line right there. They're both pointing up. The 50 also pointing up here. That sharp reversal on MicroStrategy. And again, that could be a warning sign for what's coming for Bitcoin. MicroStrategy behaves like Bitcoin with the volatility and the sharp rise and the dramatic falls because MicroStrategy's huge exposure to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is about $1,000 under the high at 99,500. It's at 98,500, that level right there. And getting this 9 count in the weekly time frame, and I told you a 9 count can produce a reversal. It did it at the January high that week. We for the January high of 2024 to start the year off, we had a high and it reversed very weak. It may play out the same way. We may go a little bit higher and then it turns. We may see a topping tail, or we may see some kind of different candlestick reversal pattern. Depends on if we close out November week getting a topping tail going into the holiday week here, a short trading week for the stock market, giving Black Friday. Are people going to be paying attention? We'll be watching. We'll be paying attention. I don't know about you, but I will. We got this 9 count. Now, that's what I warned you, is that NVIDIA's getting the 9 count this week in the weekly time frame, and MicroStrategy is getting it. The Bitcoin ETF. Here's IBIT, the Bitcoin ETF. It's also getting a 9 count. We have a 13 fall by 9. That's a double sequence count reversal pattern. It has to get confirmation, though, but by the time it is confirmed, point could be much, much lower. So again, this is showing price exhaustion. So again, you can get the 9 count, get an immediate reversal. You may get the 9 count like right over here and go a little bit higher and then get it. And here we sold off about 33% the actual price of Bitcoin. Whether this produces a reversal or to put the bears back in control or just a pullback, we don't know. Again, my signals, which are correct, remain bullish. The breakout a couple weeks ago over here, and again, signals all turned back to bullish. Weekly time frame momentum had already turned bullish after we had a bottom over here. They turned bullish with momentum. Now the trend signals are bullish in the weekly time frame of the 20-week moving average, but divergences are forming. So again, we need to be paying attention. Divergences may take time to develop, but we have these counts. So you've got it on Bitcoin. You've got it here on the Bitcoin ETF IBIT, 9 count potential reversal signals. You got it on Bitcoin in the weekly time frame, the 9 count. We got it on the Bitcoin ETF, and here it is on NVIDIA. Now, why am I talking about NVIDIA? Because, Bitcoin and NVIDIA are really the leadership and have a huge amount, the assets with the most volatility, really. NVIDIA leading stocks. Nasdaq 100 follows NVIDIA, and Bitcoin, again, the dominant cryptocurrency. NVIDIA is at a major trend line of resistance, getting a 9 count. About this stock update, I'll link it at the end of this video. If you want to see the NVIDIA charts, I go through them. Just know that Bitcoin's getting a 9 count. The Bitcoin ETF's getting a 9 count in these weekly timeframes, and here it is on NVIDIA. This is showing price exhaustion. The last one over here gave us this sell-off. This is when the CEO was selling, and again, we're likely going to see more of that. Eventually, we're going to see a bursting of the AI bubble we move closer towards a recession, maybe closer than you think. Again, in 2007, the Fed they were clueless that the recession was about to start. It started immediately. I'll be talking more about that in my stock update over the weekend. NVIDIA weekly chart, 9 count. And here it is on a Microstrategy. Microstrategy rallied yesterday 15% higher. It's just going parabolic and again, completing a blow off top, but it went 15% higher and then it dropped 18%, producing this topping tail. We've rallied back up today based off comments from Michael Saylor, but again, this is a huge, huge warning sign. You're getting 9 counts on Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ETF, NVIDIA, and MicroStrategy. You're getting it on all of them, suggesting that we're either going to get a pullback or a reversal, the stock market and with Bitcoin. I think the stock market is going to peak around the long-term trend line on the S&P 500. Go watch the video. I'll link at this one. You'll see the charts. Monthly time frame, we're just below that level. I think the S&P will still move a little bit higher. I think it's in a topping process. And again, I continue to predict new all-time highs. I don't think it's done yet, but I think it's about to be. And again, you have them hitting trend lines. NASDAQ and the S&P, they're right near those trend lines. I'm talking about the weekly and the monthly time frame. Bitcoin, some interesting trend lines. Directly overhead at 110 to 115,000, or again, just overthrowing the trend lines right now that I've been talking about. But could this be what's in store for Bitcoin? Could we see this happen before the weekend ends, or on into next week, could we start seeing a reversal? I think MicroStrategy is a huge red flag for Bitcoin. Again, yesterday, MicroStrategy rallied up 15%, and then it collapsed from the previous day's close, closing 16% lower, down 18%, coming back, filling this gap. But again, this whole rally was given back. So you had a wild, wild swing, rising 15%, and then again dropping, closing 16% lower. So again, a 30% price swing on MicroStrategies. Right now, MicroStrategy, it's now trying to rally back up 6%. You have a bearish engulfing candlestick here on MicroStrategy, and again, I'll be watching to see. We're going to have the close here on Friday. I'll be watching to see if we get that topping tail. It's likely going to complete here on Friday. Again, I'll be watching to see if this high now holds, and what does that mean for Bitcoin? MicroStrategy rose up to $540, pushed back down below 400. And moved into the 300s, and then now attempting to claw its way back up 6%. Currently $424, the current price of MicroStrategy. Again, we saw the RSI move to a new high right here. Again, it might just have reached an extreme. That might be it, or it might still form a divergence here. Could be either one, but again, this is the same kind of candlestick that formed back when Supermicro Computer peaked and began to tank for all the negative news that hit its stock. But again, just a candlestick worth paying attention to. This is a reversal bar, so you got to believe that, hey, the top is here until proven otherwise, until we close above this level. Maybe we only get a lower high. So again, we'll be watching to see how this unfolds, but Bitcoin could follow the path here of MicroStrategy and get some kind of major reversal bar, some dramatic reversal like we just saw with MicroStrategy, a one-day reversal bar forming, dramatic surge followed by a dramatic plunge into the abyss. The CD is up here at record extremes. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, but this thing's gone parabolic, and again, watching to see if it forms a topping process around this reversal candlestick, which again could spell trouble for Bitcoin. Here we don't have a divergence. We just reached an extreme on the RSI for MicroStrategy. Bitcoin actually has a negative divergence. We could see something like this happen going into the weekend or on into next week if we start seeing that divergence in the daily time frame begin to play out. Here it is on the daily chart, and right now again we're just we were flat a little bit ago, up about 0.5%, and again Bitcoin doing something similar to what it did over here. And again, I talked about this previously. I talked about again forming this divergence, and again we're at extremes. Here we're at extremes, And we had this peak right here. We saw a little bit of volatility, and then we surged higher. Same thing over here. We had this peak right here, had a little bit of volatility, but then we surged higher, and we ended up forming this divergence. I told you to be watching for this divergence on the RSI. We now have it. If we start reversing with Bitcoin, start turning down, begin to play out. And then we need to be watching. Do we get a reversal with Bitcoin, or do we get a pullback? I wanted to show you MicroStrategy because, again, Bitcoin could follow MicroStrategy and starting to see the volatility with this divergence that is now formed. Going to play out. The question is it just going to be a pullback? And if so, is it just going to be a mild pullback, or is it going to be something dramatic? Are we going to come back and we're going to eventually test the peak, the breakout point here, 73,700, and start to see a reversal and have this move fail, or just a pullback or a dramatic pullback, but then resume the advance going into the recession, which is, again, around the corner. It's sooner rather than later, or it may hit the first or second quarter. It's coming. About the two scenarios, that one, we get a rally, the rally ends up filling. The other one is that we get a rally, pullback, and maybe go into the first or second quarter if the recession is delayed that long, and we don't know that it will be. But this price action and the RSI look very similar to what we had over here. So we'll be watching to see if we get the start of a pullback or reversal anytime soon. We may push above 100,000, go into 102, 103, 105,000, something like that, just overthrow it, and then start to turn. May go up to the next level of resistance, just blow past that and 100,000, and go to the 110, 115,000, which is the next major level of resistance. Start to reverse, and it's close but no cigar. We hit 99,500. We turn off of that level ahead of hitting it. Again, we'll probably overthrow it. The question is, do we go to the next level of resistance to 110 to 115,000? It's about overthrowing the trend lines time frame. But wanted to make you, again, aware of this divergence that is forming here. Again, this could play out in the next few days, maybe over the weekend here, on into next week or Thanksgiving week holiday. The thing I want to make you aware of is, again, if we do see a peak right here, say just over 100,000 or just under 100,000, and we get a pullback, it may be we get something like that too. And you end up forming a triple divergence right there. That's certainly possible as well.